If you found hundreds of T206 cards glued to the inside of a trunk, what would you do with them? Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. This is a really cool story. I actually featured it in my newsletter last week, I think, but it just keeps getting cooler. So I'm going to share a little bit about this story. This was posted on Facebook 2-3 weeks ago now by somebody going by the name of Frankie Mitten. He's a business partner of somebody named Tom Conrad. Tom Conrad is in this photo here holding up a trunk cover that is filled with 122 T206 cards. T206 cards, as you probably know if you're watching my channel, come from 1909 through 1911, and they are one of the most popular vintage card sets of all time. And one card was inserted in a cigarette pack, and people collected the cards. And in this case, somebody glued 122 of them inside the cover of a trunk. They didn't get the trunk itself, just the cover. They are antique hunters, and they have a business where they go out and they scour places for neat finds, and then they sell them. And in this case, a woman who does the same thing, had this listed on Facebook Marketplace for $75. And they knew it was special, so to try to secure it, they decided to offer $200 for it. And she accepted. So they went and they picked it up, and you can see the photos here are amazing. And I'm going to share a bunch of photos. I actually spoke with Frankie Mitten via Facebook Messenger about it. He sent me some photos too. He didn't have the backstory of it. The woman who sold it to him didn't really give any details. He didn't think she even had it for very long. It sounded like she had just gotten it from an estate sale in all likelihood, because that's what she did. Now on here, as you can see, there is a Cy Young. And in fact, he's right next to Addie Joss inside this trunk. And the Cy Young is in poor condition, but not as poor as a lot of the other ones, as you will see. But the Cy Young is beautifully centered, has great coloring. It just has what appears to be almost a hole in it, right around the top, right above Cy Young's head. And I tried finding a good comp for the Cy Young. I couldn't find one, but a PSA 1 goes for $1,600 according to this PSA, this most recent sale. But I think that one is probably in better shape and would sell for more than this one. So, they considered a lot of things, I think, of what to do with this. Do they take them off? And they did take the Cy Young off. You can see here the front and the back of it. But I think that they were advised not to. And in fact, somebody in the comments of the post consulted with ChatGPT, which is becoming more and more and more common. And ChatGPT can give you some very good advice. In this case, some of it was good. It said that this is probably worth $10,000 to $50,000. I would say it's much, much closer to the 10,000, maybe even lower. And we'll talk about how much it appears to be selling for. But 50,000 is way too high for this. It also said not to clean the cards, which is great advice by ChatGPT. It says it can damage them and reduce their value. Yes, very, very true. Don't clean these cards. Some people would say that removing the glue using some sort of a substance can be done, or even with something silky, if I remember correctly. I would not try any of that. In fact, I would leave this on here, and I would consult with a company like CIA to ask them if they can sell it for me in exactly the same shape. In fact, I called Theo, Clemente Collector, who's working for CIA right now. CIA is Collector Investor Auctions, sponsors Attic Find Friday. And I asked him, would CIA take this in an auction as a consignment? And he said, yeah, probably. They're doing more and more things like this. And I think that's exactly where I would go, is I would contact Jeremy Donson, the Texas Snowman, CIA, partially owned by Chris Sewell, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, in that order. And I would ask them, can I consign this through you guys? And in all likelihood, they would say yes. And that's how I would go. I would keep it exactly the same. In fact, I might even keep it. It's such a cool piece. I don't know where I would keep it, here in my home, in my office. But it's a trunk cover. It's a piece of history. It's a piece of Americana. And that's actually a quote that Tom Conrad, the guy in the original photo, used when he was being interviewed by CBS News, which is really cool. So in here, you've got a Tris speaker next, right underneath a Rue Boisdel. They have holes in them. It's cut in half. It is in terrible condition. Most of them are. In fact, there appears to be a Walter Johnson portrait, which is a very, very desirable card that is completely cut in half at his forehead. So all you can see is his forehead and up. And even that portion has holes in it. It's like somebody shot BBs into the trunk lid, which is something I would have done as a kid. I had a few BB guns as a kid. There's also a Christy Mathewson with holes in it. There's a lot of them in here. I'm just going to cycle through some of the photos so you can see. They're all in rough condition. In fact, the Cy Young's one of the better conditioned cards, which is pretty lucky. And so a lot of people are talking about what they would do. They would, is the Cy Young gradable? They're asking. Of course it's gradable. But do you really want to take this thing apart? In my opinion, the answer is no. Maybe you take the Cy Young out and you leave the rest of it as is. You grade the Cy Young and you sell it. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I would leave it all as is. And let me know in comments what you would do. So here's what they're doing. There's also a Tris speaker with a bunch of holes in it. And I wondered what this would sell for. And I looked up and sure enough, there is actually a PSA Authentic that just sold via the PSA Vault, PSA eBay store on eBay for $452. And it has a giant hole in it. So this one's probably worth $300 to $400, I'm guessing, if it's graded by PSA and authenticated. So these guys have taken it to their auction Facebook group called Smalls to the Walls Auctions, which I gained access to, and it's a really, really neat group. I was really impressed with how organized this is, and they did this via auction. And how this works is, if somebody makes a bid in the comments of the post, the auction ends 24 hours later if nobody else has bid. If somebody else bids, that 24 hours starts again. And the auction goes until no bids have come in for 24 hours, or no higher bids have come in for 24 hours. And this one went on for a few days. It started on the 14th, and today is the 17th. And I believe it's ending right around now, unless somebody has bid in the last half hour or so, because it's been 23 and a half hours since the last bid. So I'll show you. It started out at $250. Somebody bid $250. That's probably not going to get it done. It went up to $1,200. It went up to $2,000. It went up to $2,500, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And I was watching it. I was thinking, this seems about right. I was thinking $6,000 to $7,000. It went up to $6,500. But right now, it sits at $8,600, which is amazing. And hopefully by the time I edit this, I'll have a final number. If it actually has finished. There were the comments. Their minds were blown by this. It is the most unique piece I've maybe ever seen. In the CBS News video that I watched, they actually went to Card Vault to ask Card Vault. And this shows you how little CBS News knows about sports cards. Card Vault doesn't know anything about vintage cards. I'm guessing. This is just my assumption. And the guy who worked at Card Vault appeared to be consulting with Google to tell them about T206 cards. And he's looking down at his phone and he's saying, oh yeah, these were inserted into cigarette packs. And these look like they go for about $2,000, the Cy Young. And you could find a vintage dealer very, very easily if you wanted to, who could tell you all this stuff without actually needing to consult ChatGPT or whatever it was that they were looking at. So let me know in comments, what do you think about this? What would you do with it? If you had found it, if you had bought it for $200, would you try to sell it as is? Would you take the cards off and try to grade them? Would you try to clean them? Ugh, don't do that. I love this story. It's such a cool one and such a great opportunity for an attic find Friday, because I know this isn't an attic find necessarily, but it was probably in somebody's attic at some point. I wish I had that backstory of the kid who had it and why they glued them all to the inside of a trunk. That would be fun. Update. They are saying that this sold for $8,500 earlier today and potentially maybe on display at the National in the future, which would be awesome. I would love to get my photo with this. That's it on this one, you guys. I got a lot of really, really good questions on my AMA yesterday. I think I'll be covering those next week, quicker than I thought. I've got a, I have this great backlog of videos that I'm really excited about. Also been doing a bunch of podcasts, and I just did, actually tomorrow morning, my latest Surface Issues episode with Greg of Midlife Cards will be up. We had a really fun conversation. I think we feel like we're kind of getting into the flow of it. It feels like we are, we're certainly not veteran podcasters. We've done 5 episodes, 6 episodes, but it's fun. It feels a lot more natural than it did at first. And we're kind of going off script. Not that we have a script, but we have kind of a certain topics that we intend to address. And we go off and it's comfortable and it's fine. So I hope you check that out. It's on Sports Card Clubhouse, anywhere you get podcasts, or on the Sports Card Clubhouse YouTube channel. The podcast will post next Thursday on YouTube, though. If you want to listen to it before then, go to the podcast in your podcasting network. Sports Card Clubhouse. Podcast is called Surface Issues. It'll post on Saturday. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have a great weekend.